doing, guys? Today I just thought I'd show you a quick video of some projects that are going to be coming up during the spring and the summer. I know as of late I've had a lot of K91 content, which is probably getting a little bit boring, but it just happened to be that I just had a number of K91s roll through the garage for various people, which which gave me the crazy idea to build the grab bag Kohler, because I had so many parts left over from so many engines. I said, let's just put an engine together with all those parts. So that project is coming, it's fairly close to being completed. So I thought I'd just show you some of the other projects, and I'll tease you with where we are with that right now. As a quick recap, we just saw this K91 run through the shop. Just had to do a physical on it. There really wasn't anything needed on the motor. The motor is originally off a 1958 RJ58. It is the original motor to that tractor, and that's where this motor is going back. So the owner just needs to pick it up, but K91 content continued, I guess, with this one. One of the next projects is this B1290 Clinton. It's slated for pretty much a rebuild. We're going to be doing basically what I've done on Kohlers recently, but from a Clinton perspective. We're going to hone the cylinder, clean the valves, reset the valve lash. We're going to tear it all apart right down to the last bolt and give it a complete freshen up, rebuild wherever we need to have new parts added. But this one is actually slated for a 1955 RJ35. Obviously, it will not be the original motor to that RJ35, but it will be the original style motor. The RJ35 of that vintage would have came with a 1200 Clinton motor. This happens to be a B1290. The only real material difference is the B1290 of this motor, it's balanced, unlike the 1200, which is not balanced. And this has tapered roller bearings for the main, for the crankshaft, for the main bearings for the crankshaft, while the 1200 has just standard roller bearings in that. So we will be swapping it to a Carter N carburetor. We'll be honing the cylinder, cutting the valves. If we have to replace some parts, we'll have to source those parts for it. I do have ring sets for these motors. That's no big deal. I have head gaskets. That's no big deal. The owner of the motor wants to leave it patinaed just the way it is because the tractor's patinaed. So we're gonna get this done. Now, I have been asked to have this done for the Wheel Horse show. So this has to basically be done probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So that way I can get it started, broken in, and then give it to the owners so they can put it on their tractor and test and tune before the Wheel Horse show. Now, that was an estimated time frame. I didn't guarantee it to be done by then, but we'll be having some Clinton content coming up very shortly. And now the grab bag. There's a series of videos still needed to come out on this motor. I was going to take the bag off the motor to show you where we are, but let me just say this. We are at the point where we're putting tins and recoils on it. I'll throw a question out to you. I have a NOS Fairbanks recoil, which I'm going to put on this motor only because I don't have really any other recoils for it. So I'm forced to use possibly this NOS recoil. Now, I am planning on putting this engine on my 1957 RJ35. The Fairbanks recoil would be incorrect for that tractor, but I also have the dreaded Shinaki recoil. I do have an NOS Shinaki recoil that I could put on this motor, which would be period correct for the 1957 RJ35. In the comments below, let me know, should I go Fairbanks recoil or should I go with a Shinaki? Then I have this. Which was a freebie transmission that I picked up in order to fix the carpet cut. Yeah, I really want to work on this. I really want to have this done for the May Zagray Tractor Show in Colchester, Connecticut, just so I can race it around a little. Not race it around, but ride it around. This particular transmission pops out of third gear, so I don't know. I'd like to try to save these cases because I like the green. I like it that I like that it all matches. So unfortunately, it pops out of third gear, and it does have what appears to have a broken bolt in the back of the bottom case. But what the plan is for the transmission is to take the parts from this one, take the parts from the orange one, put it together to have one good transmission. The other thing too is I have another hood for this tractor. I love this green. I don't know why, can't explain it, but the hood itself's in real good shape. There isn't any dings or dents. There's no bullet holes in it or anything like that. But unfortunately, somebody did cut the back of it. So I have another hood that has a good back, so I'm going to make a pattern. I'm going to cut the portion of the other hood off and tack weld it onto this one, so that way at least it's all back together. I am looking for a motor for this one. You know, it's really funny because, you know, when I wasn't looking for a Briggs vertical shaft motor, like a 5-horse L head like this one, they were literally a dime a dozen, and they were like literally people couldn't give them away. I have searched and searched and searched and searched, Craigslist, Facebook, this, that. You can't find one. You just can't find one. And this one here is tired. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you, but it blows a poop load of oil out of the exhaust. It smokes like a chimney. And I don't really want to get involved with rebuilding one of these. I'm not a Briggs guy. I would like to just find a good running one and just swap it and just put the, you know, take this 5 off, throw it away, put another 5 on it, and just be done with it. You know, make it quick. I even toyed the idea of going to get a Harbor Freight Predator 6.6 and putting that in it, but there's a problem with that. The Predator's set up opposite from the Briggs motor. And what I mean by that is the air box is actually on the exhaust side, and the exhaust is actually on the air box side of the motor. So the Predator is swapped, and this is where you this is the go pedal. So I really don't want the exhaust on this side of the engine, because then it'd just be blowing onto your foot while you're trying to drive it. That's why they put that little guard there, so the exhaust wouldn't blow on your foot. So I really wish I could just find another Briggs motor. I do have a Clinton motor. I'll show it to you in 1 second that I may try to get running, and I might put on this tractor. And which motor is that? That's this one right here. That is what I would consider a fairly rare vertical shaft iron block Clinton. Now, I'll be brutally honest with you, I do not know what kind of motor it is. I thought it was a V1200, so basically a 1200 Clinton just laid over on its side, but it's not. It might be a 900 or even a 700. To be brutally honest with you, I don't know. And the reason why I don't know is Clinton, unless you have the tag, there's really no way to figure out what model these motors are unless you tear it all apart and measure the bore and the stroke. And then from there, you can figure out which model engine it is, because they did a lot of weird. Clinton was really a weird company. And really a sad company too when you think about it, because in the mid to late 50s they owned the small engine market. Literally, they owned it. They were on everything from like 52 to, I'd say, at least 59. Then the Kohler kind of took over, and then Briggs killed them all really in the early to mid 60s with their aluminum blocks. They could just make them so much cheaper. But so I don't know what the horsepower is of that motor. It's something that I should really dig out and we could take a look at. Maybe in a future video, we'll just tear it out just to take a look at it. It did have a big Fairbanks recoil. It actually had that Fairbanks recoil on it. I bought the whole motor for $20 just for the recoil, because those recoils, those big Fairbanks recoils, they're fairly, they're fairly expensive, cool, however you want it. They did use them on RJs. That's my 1959 RJ, and that's the original motor with the original recoil and everything. So from an RJ perspective, those things were pretty expensive, you know, maybe 5-6 years ago. So when I found it on this motor for literally $20, I bought the whole motor. I was going to throw the motor away, but for whatever reason, I hung on to it. And I think it would be kind of cool to kind of resurrect a vertical shaft Clinton motor and put it on that little carpet cut. While we're out here in the shed, I do have this big 16, which is definitely going to be a project that I would like to do, and not would like to do. I'm sourcing the parts for it. I haven't gotten a reply back from the guy that I bought the camshaft, or I want to buy the camshaft from. I'll have to reach out to him again to see what he says. I don't know. I haven't received a response. Maybe he's not making the cams anymore. I have no idea. But this engine is going to come up. I'm just sourcing the parts for it. There's some more K91s sitting here on the floor. We got the block that I tore apart. We got these two other engines. Kyle, you want these motors? Make me an offer. We can't forget about the Senior. And here's the Senior. As you know, I've worked on the rear. I need to take apart the banjo rear end and clean that all out, reseal it, put it back together. Transmission needs to be done, basically torn apart, cleaned, and put back together. It's actually in really good shape. I have the big Wisconsin motor. Gonna be tearing that apart probably towards the end of the summer, maybe in the fall. I was hoping to do that now, but it's not in the cards. I do have all of the parts to rebuild that motor. That motor will go to the machine shop and get done properly, so no half-ass hone jobs, things like that on this motor. So we're going to be working on that. Obviously, I have in my prior videos the new spindles, the new swing. So we got a lot of bits and pieces coming for that. The frame for the Senior is right there on the floor. It's all set to go. If we come all the way over here, we got the tires, and then we have the whole gear drive system. Both sides, there's the new lug nut shining away. But we have all of the gear drives. There's one side right here. The other side is on the shelf. All of that is done. As it warms up, I will then put the gear drives and everything back together. I just wanted it to warm up a little bit before I start using the sealer to seal up the cases. It's just been too cold, and I don't have heat in my garage, as you know. Rims are done. They're sitting right there. Obviously, I have all the tires. We'll be mounting those very shortly. So that way, hopefully by the end of the summer, the theory is the rolling chassis of the Senior will be back together. So in a nutshell, that is the list of projects that will be coming up. Hopefully you'll find some of them interesting. Not to mention, we have all the shows that are coming up also. We have the 3 Zagreys, spring, summer, and fall that I usually go to every year. I'm planning on going into this year, as well as the Wheel Horse show. I've already booked a hotel for that, as well as my brother has already scheduled the van, because we use a van. That way we just have engines and tractors rolling around and nobody has to worry about anything. So that's all been booked and pretty much ready to go. So a lot of interesting things I hope you'll find coming up on the channel. But as always, thank you very much for all your viewership. Thank you for your wonderful comments. I know there's a number of comments that have been made over the last couple of weeks I haven't responded to. My plan is to get to that over the next week. So if you left a comment, I might leave a response. So like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends if you could. Thank you for all the new subscribers in the last 6 to 8 months. The channel has actually gained a lot of subscribers, so I really appreciate all your support in that. And as always, until I start the next ridiculous project, you have a nice day.